Hello and welcome back to section 3 of my Linux commands course. In this section we're going to be looking at the hardware information commands. So open your terminal and the first command is dmesg. This will display the messages in the kernel ring buffer, as you can see here. So you just type clear to remove all of that information. The next command is cat/proc/CPU info. This will display the current CPU information. So depending on how you're running this Linux or Linux server, for example, it will display the current CPU inside that system. So if I click enter, because I'm running this on a virtual machine and my host machine is a Windows 10 machine, as you can see here, this is my host machine's internal CPU. However, it is the CPU for the kernel or Kali Linux machine as well, because it's running as a virtual machine. Now, if this was a standalone PC, then it would display the current CPU inside the hardware for that specific system. So if you're running on a Linux server, for example, it will display whatever the CPU is inside the hardware. There's other information as well, not just the model name, like how many cores it's using. As you can see here, it's only using one core because in the settings for the pre-built virtual machine, the most recommended amount to give it is 1, because it doesn't need that many running as a virtual machine. The next command is basically to display the memory information. All you need to do is press the up arrow, change CPU into mem for memory, so MEM, click enter, and this will display all the information for the current Linux system for the memory. So you can see how much in total memory you have and how much memory is free. They're the most main ones. Then there's the buffers, the cached memory, that's useful. So if, for example, you're on a Linux system, you can see how much memory is free. Could be for a Linux server as well. It doesn't just have to be for Kali Linux. Any Linux terminal, you can type that command and see how much memory is free, as well as many different other bits of information. The next command is to display the free and used memory through a different command. If you type free -h, the -h here represents human readable, so it's an option to give a free command, which will make it more readable. So if I click enter, now it doesn't look very readable here, but the only reason that is because I've zoomed in for recording purposes. But if I just zoom out a little bit, just zoom out and keep zooming out. Oh, I need to stretch it a little bit. And there we go. As you can see, it looks a little bit more readable now. I do apologize if the text is a little bit small, but as you can see, the memory, there's total, the used, and the free. So there's megabyte and gigabyte, and total, gigabyte, megabyte, etc. If we scroll up to free memory and used memory, that's in kilobytes, as you can see there. So don't get confused and think, why is it different? Because there's kilobytes, megabytes, and gigabytes. Highly recommend you go and have a look online on how to convert or see the difference between both. So I'll type clear now just to remove all of that. The next command is lspci. I'll just zoom in a little bit more so you can see the text clearer. -tv. If I click enter, this will list all the PCI devices, as you can see here. The next command is very similar again, so press the up arrow to go to the previous command, but change PCI to USB. Click enter. This will display the USB ports. The next command is to show information about disk. Now, don't worry about the error that will appear, but if you type -i/dev//sda. So it's HD param, or param, however you want to say. So it's parameters basically. So it's the starter parameters, which is param-t dev and sda. Click enter, and that will display information about the disk SDA. Now you can perform a speed write test, or in fact it's a read speed test, formerly known as. So if anyone asks you how to do a read speed test on a disk SDA for a Linux system, all you need to do is HDPARM. Press the up arrow to go to the previous command. Change this to a capital T. Make sure you keep it the same, so don't change anything, just add a capital T at the end of this command. You can press the up arrow to get the previous command, then add a T on, click enter. That will perform a read speed test. So give it a second just to complete. And there we go. So it's done a read speed test. The last command for hardware information, if you type badblocks -s /dev/SDI. This will do a test basically for unreadable blocks on the disk SDI. Checking for bad blocks. It's a read-only test. Now, I'm not going to explain everything here as in the computer science side of this sort of thing. Just go online and have a look at like read only, write only, etc. for disks. But if anyone asked you, you could get the idea, because you'll remember these commands now, and then you'll sort of get the idea. So if someone said to you, do a test for unreadable blocks on the disk SDI, you would know to do this command. Now, as you can see here, it's going to take a little while. So if you wanted to exit out of this, you press Control C and it interrupts it. As you can see, it was only 8% done, but there's no point sitting here for 10 minutes waiting for it to complete. You get the idea. There's the command, and that concludes this section of hardware information commands. So I will see you all in the next section, which is on performance monitoring and statistics.